and hopefully that should be me live. So I'll assume that everything's working okay and you guys can hear me okay. So in which case, hello again. Feels like it's been a while. But yeah, as kind of the reason for this live stream is that just this weekend, yesterday, the channel hit 25,000 subscribers. And you know, I'm not super like hung up on how many subscribers the channel gets or how many likes videos gets or anything like that. But there are certain sort of like milestones which I think it's always nice just to be able to firstly sort of acknowledge where things are at with the channel, and also just give a bit of gratitude back to you guys, because without sort of you, like none of this, you know, I wouldn't have hit any of these milestones. And I kind of wonder if would I still be doing it, like how it would have, you know, how much the sort of the feedback from people watching has changed the scope of the channel. So it's kind of a moment of reflection there as well. But yeah, the main thing is I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has kind of like supported me, taking the time to watch any of my videos. I never expected anybody to watch any of it till I started doing this. So it's very cool to be in, I think I'm in my 3rd year now of doing YouTube. And yeah, to hit this kind of milestone, I never expected it. So again, thank you sincerely. It's hard to say sort of thank yous like this without sounding like an insincere YouTube twat. But I really do mean it. I keep saying sincerely. I really do mean it. So thank you so much, guys. With this live stream, I'm going to do the usual kind of like beyond the breakthrough format, and I'll explain in a little bit how that works. Usually the topics are kind of themed purely around psychedelics. And if anybody wants to ask a question around psychedelics or around anything that I've covered on the channel, any of my previous videos, perhaps something a story you want to share of your own experiences, or maybe something you want to talk about that you saw in one of mine, whether it's something you agree with or disagree with, you are absolutely welcome to have a chat with me about that, and we can go into it in whatever level of detail you want to. But also, because it is this kind of 25k milestone, I thought I could have a bit more fun with it, and also just to extend it. So literally you can ask me absolutely anything. If any of you have any question that you want to ask me, even if something I know absolutely nothing about, but you just want to know what my opinion is on something, or you want me just to sort of just pick my brains on anything, then absolutely feel free. This is the sort of the window where you can ask anything you want, whether you want to know about my, I don't know, what I do at home, my political beliefs, anything like that. A lot of this stuff I have absolutely no expertise, and to be honest, I'm just an idiot in most of these situations anyway. So don't expect that you're going to get any kind of pearls of wisdom. But the offer is there. You can ask me absolutely anything you want at all. I'll explain a little bit about how the sort of like the Discord integration bit works here, because with this format, if you want to, you can kind of like call into the show and have a live conversation. You can be a guest speaker here on the show like now. And the way that this works is that if you go to my Discord server, and I'll just put a screenshot of that up on the screen, you can see in the top left corner there is a channel called Stream Calling. And if you join that channel, then there is an option there for you to be able to raise your hand and ask to speak. And if you click on that, then I'll bring you into the stream and we'll be able to talk in real time. So yeah, if you want to have an actual sort of live conversation, click on that. I say Stream Calling, the one that's in the top left corner, the one that's highlighted. And yeah, we can have sort of a chat about whatever you want. Let's get rid of the screenshot. Cool. So yeah, I mean, let me just see what's going on in the comments. I said hello to everyone. So we've got on Snoopy, DMT Dreams, Daisuke, I think that's how you pronounce that. Long Live Jar, Fan Channel, Psyhip, Alan Davis, Ryan Allen, Liam Willems, and Long Live Jar. Guys, thanks for joining me, and thank you so much. You're very sweet on your congratulations and stuff. It's yeah, it's great, and it's I think the main thing I get from this channel and from these kind of live streams is just this chance to interact with people. I love sort of having a bit of a two-way conversation, because normally with YouTube it's very one-way, in that I put out a video, there's comments, but the YouTube comments aren't great for actually having like a proper conversation. So yeah, it's great to be able to sort of have a bit more of a sort of a live dialogue. So I can see a question popping here from Liam Willis. Do you think the world would be better if it was mandated that every world leader had to have 5 DMT experiences before being fit for office? This is one that often kind of pops up on like Joe Rogan's podcast. I think I've heard him say it quite a few times, and like, yeah, everyone needs to have some kind of experience like this. I would twist it a little bit. I would twist the sort of the question a little bit, if you would permit me. I don't think necessarily everyone should need to have like 5 psychedelic experiences. I don't think necessarily psychedelics are for everyone. I think some people can have either bad experiences on them, or the kind of personality type is not particularly compatible with psychedelics, and you get these kind of like ego inflation. So I think you could actually end up with something much worse. Particularly with all the stuff that's going on like the Ukraine at the moment, people are saying if Putin did like DMT or ayahuasca, then he would not invade the Ukraine. And I would just put an alternate flavor on that. Imagine he did do it, and he then became completely convinced that not only should he invade Ukraine, this is his God-given destiny to do this. Psychedelics can do very, very strange things to our belief systems, to what we believe about ourselves, to what we believe about our relationship with the world. So, people, I've talked to a few people on my channel who, rather than being humbled by the psychedelic experience, have actually been inflated by it, have seemed to me have taken the sort of the message completely the wrong way. Again, just imagine someone who has completely bought into this kind of solipsistic viewpoint of around psychedelics, where like they see that everything is just their own imagination. Every single thing that is around them, every object, every person is just a plaything of their imagination. Now, that person doesn't really have sort of a very wiggly moral compass there, because they can do anything. These are just, every person you meet is something that has been created by yourself for your own entertainment. So why not murder them? Why not rape them? Why not do this? Why not invade their country? Why not just destroy them utterly? So yeah, I don't necessarily think that psychedelics would solve all the problems on the world stage. But, like I say, if I just twist your question a little bit, what I do think is that world leaders, people who are going to be world leaders, need to have had some kind of experiences which qualify them for this kind of position. Experiences where they've sort of experienced other cultures, been through some sort of challenging experiences. I think this is why, and I don't want to turn this into some sort of mad like political thing, but I think this is why someone say like Boris Johnson or Donald Trump are kind of not particularly well suited for office, because they've not really had that hardship. They've not really had those kind of like ultra challenging experiences, which you can get from something like psychedelics, but you could also get from just, traveling the world, sort of pushing yourself to something which you didn't realize that you could do. So I would like to see in my leaders, in sort of world lead, like of the global stage, people who can look up to. I think that's the point. It's not necessarily whether they've done psychedelics. It's someone that you can look up to. And unfortunately, I don't see a lot of that today. So I hope that answers your question there, mate. From Orange Sunshine, what's your opinion on the commercialization of psychedelics? I'm a bit torn on it, to be honest. I think on the good side is that it shows psychedelics are becoming more mainstream. I think it means there'll be more research done into them. I think it means they'll be more broadly available to more people. So these are good things. On the flip side, the negatives I see is possibly also that then they'll be available to people, perhaps they'll be like pushed on people in a way that we see, say like antidepressants are being pushed on people. If these things become financially lucrative, then just like how opiates became financially lucrative, then potentially you could see a situation, excuse me, whereby psychedelics are being pushed onto people who don't necessarily need them, just like we see opiates and antidepressants being pushed onto people who don't necessarily need them. I think a lot of the concerns around psychedelics being commercialized and things like they're going to be patented in certain ways. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I mean, we're talking about substances which have been illegal, like have been black market for ages, and people still get their hands on them. People can still grow mushrooms, you can grow cacti, you can extract DMT. I don't think there's any patents that are going to stop people being able to get their hands on these things. You can't patent, like sort of, mushrooms that you grow yourself. That seems unpoliceable. So I don't really get too concerned about that. But yeah, I think it's one of those situations whereby we'll just have to see how it sort of pans out. If it's a strange time. It's an exciting time around sort of like the possible commercialization of psychedelics. I think we could fuck it up completely, or I think it could be a really good thing. And an example of it being good is, I think, like what's happened around, say, like ayahuasca retreats is a good thing. I mean, this is the commercialization of psychedelics. Ayahuasca retreats are exactly that. But in my opinion, these are a positive thing. To have a space that is created where people can pay and sort of have a completely orchestrated situation, just as it would be if you did this in kind of like psilocybin in a clinical setting, then I think this is a good thing. That's good commercialization. So it's not necessarily everything is bad just because it's commercialized. But yeah, there's definitely some ways this could get completely fucked up. So yeah, we just have to kind of, it's one of those, we have to kind of see how it pans out, unfortunately. Here's an interesting one. I hope I pronounced your name right. From Asayaki. Do you have any thoughts on the evolution of Leo Guru's forum? This is the actualized.org forum. There's been a lot of drama on there lately with mods being banned, etc. Okay, so let's the actualized people always get very excited when I start talking about actualized, because it's always like, Adeptus is obsessed with actualized. And yeah, somebody's asked a question, so I'm going to answer the question. I actually spent a little bit of time on the actualized forum recently because they were talking about me, and whenever they start talking about me, somebody always sends me a link saying, hey, those guys are freaking out about you again. So yeah, they were talking about me. So I went and sort of read through the threads, and I answered back with a few of the threads. And I'll say, as I've said before, it's a big community. With any community, you get a big spread of people in those communities. There are some good people in that community. I've had some good conversations, some very honest conversations, and so not everyone is a complete slave to the sort of dogma. However, I would say the overwhelming majority there, I would say, are very, very up their own arse. I cannot stand people who use things like psychedelics and use spirituality and declare themselves to be enlightened and awakened, and then manifest zero of that behavior. And what I noticed when I was there on the forum in this last couple of weeks, it's awful. It's awful. The mods there are bullies. They cannot handle disagreement particularly well. Their ability of critical thinking is extremely sketchy. These are people who cannot string a coherent argument together at all. It always falls back on, I'm more enlightened than you. All hail Leo, basically. It always like, you don't understand. And I think from what I've read on there, I would say I completely understand what they're talking about. It's just that they just, I can't be much more. There's a lot of idiots on there, a lot of really nasty people on there who are just so up their own arse. So yeah, I'd heard there's been a bit of drama. Just come back to your question. I heard there'd been some drama on there. There'd been a bit of a coup apparently on that forum where some of the moderators had tried to splinter off and to make their own new version of the forum. I don't particularly know who those guys were. I don't know whether that would have been a good thing or a bad thing. But I know that fucking Leo flipped out over it, and yeah, they've purged a lot of people. Maybe those people needed purging. I don't want to, in all fairness to Leo, maybe those guys were just being twats. I don't know. I didn't follow the drama particularly close enough, but I do know something's gone down, and yeah, so there's a load of exiles now from actualized, and maybe the exiles are the ones who are just arseholes. I don't know. So maybe it's actually a positive thing what's gone on. But yeah, I don't really want to get too sucked into it. I try not to spend too much time there. I only really go there when they're talking about me just because I'm nosy. So, let's see. Have you ever heard of Thich Nhat Hanh? He's such a cool guy, Buddhist monk, by the way. No, I've never heard of that. That's from Obelix. Yeah, I've never heard of him. I've been listening to quite a bit of sort of Buddhist stuff recently. I follow Sam Harris's meditation app, and he's had a lot of talks on there regarding Buddhism. I think Sam Harris actually studied under a few different Buddhist teachers. So he put some lectures on this app, on the Waking Up meditation app. There's some lectures from some Buddhist scholars, and I won't say I'm becoming a Buddhist, but when I listen to these kind of lectures, I really like a lot of what they say. It makes a lot of sense to me. The sort of the language that they use regarding sort of reducing suffering, increasing well-being, and the one I was listening to just today actually was talking a lot about how we as a sort of society are very sort of pleasure driven, and that we associate pleasure with material objects, so that our entire sort of society is based around get this object and this will fill this gap in your life. And I really relate to this because I've certainly been in that situation where I thought if only I could have this, then I would not have any desires any longer, because all my desire would be fulfilled by this one thing. And of course that's just never the truth. As soon as when you have that kind of thinking and you get that thing, then you inevitably find that thing does not completely satisfy you. It might, fulfill whatever its role is. It's not that the thing is necessarily bad, but it doesn't give you this kind of sense of completion that you thought it would. And inevitably, it normally leads to that you want something else. And so then you just kind of shift gears, and then you're kind of pursuing this new thing. So yeah, I like that sort of aspect of Buddhism, is to sort of disconnect from not fully to disconnect, but to balance these desires, so that you sort of invest in the things which actually will give you some kind of pleasure, and then you make sure you get the value from that thing rather than just flitting from one thing to the next. So yes, that was a bit of a long-winded way of saying no, I've not listened to that particular scholar, but I have listened to some other Buddhist scholars. And as far as a sort of religion goes, or a sort of a framework goes, I think Buddhism is actually pretty cool. Okay, so just as I'll do a quick reminder, because I did it at the beginning, but people are joining as it goes on. So yeah, I'll say this is a kind of live call-in show. So if anybody wants to have a chat, they can do so via the Discord server. Just join the room, the channel I should say, called Stream Call-in. You can see it there in the top left corner. And then once you're in there, there's the option to be able to raise your hand. And then, yeah, you can come up on screen, and we can have on the stream, and we can have a live conversation. Okay, I can see you've got plenty of comments coming in on the chat feed, so let's go back to those. Okay. From Snoopy, is there a difference between, say, DMT and LSD, or do all the different psychedelics pretty much have the same effect? I think there is a difference. The difference, it could be as simple as potency, or as an amount. So it's like, I guess the question is, if you had enough LSD, would you get to the same place as DMT? I think you would get somewhere similar. I do think these things have different characteristics, and I've done my fair share of LSD, I've done my fair share of psilocybin, done my fair share of DMT, things like ayahuasca, San Pedro. I've done quite a lot of these different substances. With the dosages that you get LSD, the typical LSD dosages, I would say you would have to take quite a lot to get anywhere near that same space that you get with quite a normal amount of DMT. So the thing with DMT is just that instantly it is the most psychedelic experience you will ever have in your fucking life, almost instantly, even off like very small amounts. I mean, I would say like some of the smallest amounts of DMT I've had were far more psychedelic than some of the largest amounts of LSD I've had. Obviously, there's something there around the duration and how long these things last. So, you kind of have, and I'm not downplaying LSD at all here. LSD is trippy as hell. I've had some really, really profound psychedelic experiences on LSD, just nowhere near the same amount, the same sort of depth that I've had on DMT. And again, that I would fully grant that maybe I just did not have enough LSD. And so maybe if I ate more and more LSD, and God, I can't even imagine the amount of LSD I would need to take to get anywhere near those kind of depths. But and I think the other thing which this is just purely my own experience on LSD, I don't get that same sense of other as what I get on DMT. Now on DMT, this materializes pretty quickly, and this is the kind of like the feeling of entities that people often reference. There is a thing in DMT, and I've also had this in psilocybin as well, but it appears much easier in DMT, is that you very quickly can get this sense of that there is something else inhabiting your mind, that as you go into this experience of kind of like pure consciousness, there is another consciousness or even multiple consciousnesses in there with you. And sometimes these actually, take on, some sort of like physical shape within your consciousness. So this is why people report on seeing entities, seeing aliens or something like that. But the kind of the interesting thing with it is, or at least what I think is the most interesting thing, is that you can detect that this is another, or what feels like another being, but it's inside your own experience. And that is completely, bonkers compared to everyday life. Now, normally in everyday life, when you're in a physical room with someone, then, I'm in a room, with my wife and my kids, and I can detect that these are, autonomous beings in this room with me. But to have that sort of same feel, but that it's going on in your mind, like these are not beings in the room, these are beings inside your conscious experience. That is one of the most mind-blowing things about something like DMT. And I've not got anywhere close to that on LSD. Not to say it's not there. Maybe someone else has got a different opinion on it. And if you do, feel free to chime in. But yeah, I've not seen that kind of phenomenon on LSD. I've had something close to it on mushrooms. I've certainly had that feeling of like another presence there. And people often refer to this as like the mushroom. But not on LSD for some reason. Maybe I just need to do more. But like I said, I've done some pretty heavy amounts of LSD, and it's just never got into that thing. So maybe there's just something fundamental in there that doesn't have that same kind of feel to it. So yeah, short answer is yes, I would say there is a difference between DMT and LSD, and even to psilocybin to some effect. And some of this could be just the different methods of administration and the different kind of durations of these things. But yeah, I think that these things all have their separate characteristics. And I think those characteristics are all worth exploring in their own right. So it's not that one is necessarily better than the other. You might have seen in a recent video, I don't particularly subscribe to this idea that X is better than Y. Like this is where all the good stuff is and this is where all the shit is. I definitely think there are some substances that are shit and that are not necessarily worth trying, or certainly that I wouldn't go back to. But I think with those kind of main tryptamines, the sort of psilocybin, LSD, DMT, 5-MeO DMT, I think are all worth exploring and all have their own unique characteristics. From Yerner, do you meditate on psychedelics? If so, do you have any advice or sources for guided meditation? I don't know if I would call it meditation on psychedelics. Although I kind of have done. So let me kind of unpack that. I meditate prior to psychedelics a lot just to get myself into the right mindset. So I do meditate. I try and do it as a practice. And I would say I properly meditate prior to doing psychedelics. Now, I have tried meditating on psychedelics, and I'm not sure that I could actually say I was really meditating. I think I was more just like, like tripping out while sitting still. I certainly try and sort of ground myself and center myself and have like a moment of quietness and a moment of sort of stillness. But I don't know if I could truly call that meditating, where I'm really sort of like focusing on awareness and stuff like that. I've had experiences where that happens anyway, where just because of the experience, then I find myself in these sort of very still, very clear, very pure mind spaces. But I don't think I could honestly say that I have intentionally brought myself into that space. Maybe I did, but it just felt like that was part of the experience itself. A lot of the time when I'm doing psychedelics, then the experience is just so crazy that I don't think I could even have like the common sense to sit there and think, okay, I'll meditate now. It's just usually I'm just kind of going with the flow. I let the experience dictate itself. So I don't think I've ever consciously meditated, but I'm not opposed to it at all. And if I had the kind of the mental space within those moments to do it, I probably would. But I usually, I just find out, so I'm just kind of tripping out just while I might be doing a meditative pose, but really I'm just kind of like, whoa, just completely tripping out. Let's look. From Snoopy again. Oh no, it's replying to somebody else. Oops. Okay. In 2 days, this is from Long Live Jar. In 2 days, you'll be on Flavor Lab Dabs 2.0. What do you think of the quality of DMT he makes? It looks amazing. I've no idea, mate. I don't. I mean, this is. I'll probably go off on a tangent here. Well, first of all, I mean, it's almost impossible to see what the actual quality of DMT is just from looking at it. And I'm going to be completely honest, I've not watched a huge amount of Flavor Lab stuff. So I get asked to be on people's podcasts or channels quite a lot. And unless it's somebody I'm already actively watching, then I don't really necessarily go and watch everybody's stuff. Because otherwise I'd just be spending far too much time on YouTube. So I am going to be on a podcast called Flavor Labs. I think we're doing that sometime next week. I've not seen a huge amount of the stuff. I've talked to him in the comments. I'm not particularly aware of what his DMT is or how if it's anything particularly amazing. I've seen some stuff with people who post in, say, on Reddit. And people who do these amazingly elaborate sort of crystals that they grow with DMT, and I think stuff like that is really awesome. I'm not necessarily that much of a connoisseur. I'll just sidestep a little bit here because it just reminded me of when you're saying, what do you think of this? Of what do I think of this from looking at the visual of it? Oh God, I've been seeing so many posts on Reddit and Facebook, which have just been like driving me to despair, of people posting questions on Reddit, like saying, how much mushrooms do you think this is? Like, how much DMT is this? Or I'm trying to eyeball this DMT. And my answer to this was like, buy some fucking scales, for God's sake, buy some scales. Can you imagine someone just trying to eyeball DMT? Or one that freaked me out was somebody who was asking, how big should an amount of 5-MeO DMT be? They were asking for like a physical thing, saying, look, if this is a penny, then how big should 5-MeO one dose be? You cannot do shit like that. Like, the amount of 5-MeO DMT you need is minuscule. It looks like nothing. It looks like a few grains of dust. And that people are going to smoke this stuff, and that they've not got a scale to weigh it out on, or that they're going to take mushrooms and they've not weighed out. They just got like a packet of mushrooms, and they're asking people on the internet, does this look like 3 grams? So, well, how big are the mushrooms? You've got no way of knowing from that stuff. So, that was a bit of a bugbear of mine that I've seen during the week, of just people just posting ridiculous questions. Buy scales, people. If you are going to truly be a psychedelic explorer, if you're really going to try these substances, you've got to have a set of scales. I cannot believe there are people who do not have a set of good scales who are trying these incredibly potent substances. So hopefully there's nobody here who would fit that bill. And if there is, get yourself to Amazon, get yourself a good set of scales. From Juliana K. The cosmology of Mahayan Buddhism is very psychedelic. Loving kindness and ethics. I recommend you investigate. Yeah, as I mentioned, Juliana, I'm sort of looking into it at the moment. And I am sort of... that reminds me, actually. I'm planning on going on retreat in roughly about 10 weeks. So yeah, I'll just let you guys know where it is I'm going. But I have posted information around this on the Discord. So if you go to the Discord, there's a section called Retreats, and I think it's called Retreats on Integration. And yeah, all the details of this retreat I'm going on are there. So if anybody is looking to go on an ayahuasca retreat and perhaps is just looking for some traveling companions and wanting someone, to go to Peru and be part of a sort of group, then all the details are in there. But yeah, just to let you guys know, I'm going to be heading to a retreat center called Morosa. This is back in Peru. So I'm heading back to Peru in about 10 weeks. This is the retreat that I'm going on. It's not a typical ayahuasca retreat. What I'm doing is what's called a plant diet. So this is there is some ayahuasca involved, but ayahuasca is not the main focus of this retreat. The main focus is that you ingest a certain plant over like the period of like 2 weeks, and basically this kind of plant will sort of, basically you're kind of flooding your system with this particular plant, and you don't know what plant it is until you get there. Basically, you get there, you do an ayahuasca ceremony. Within this ayahuasca ceremony, the shaman will decide which plant it is that you're going to diet based upon what the reasons that you've come there for, based upon your intentions. And then, for the next 2 weeks, you're kind of drinking this kind of plant smoothie kind of thing. And it's kind of, flooding your consciousness with its kind of, with it, basically you're kind of building a relationship with this plant. I've had this sort of recommended to me for like a number of years that it should be something I should try. So I've been curious about it for a while. So yeah, I'm going checking that out in about 10 weeks at a place called Morosa. It's in Iquitos in Peru. And as I mentioned, all the details are on my Discord, or you can message me afterwards if you want the details. But yeah, we'll be going there from like the beginning of June until about the middle of June. So it's like 2 weeks that we're going to be there. And I'll be hanging around in Iquitos for a few days either side. So there's a few people who I know who are going to be in Iquitos around that time, a few people who watch the channel. So hopefully we'll be able to get a chance to catch up with a few of you guys. And that's what I'm doing on retreat. Also, just one other event I wanted to mention is that I'm also going to be at the Blue Dot Festival. This is a music festival in England, and I'm going to be there in July. I think it runs from the 22nd through the 26th. This is in, where is it? I don't know, somewhere near like Stoke-on-Trent. And it's like a kind of sciencey music festival. It's at Jodrell Bank, where one of the big sort of telescopes is, one of the big radio telescopes. So I'll be there. And again, if you're interested in sort of meeting up, just drop me a message and we can suss something out for that. Okie dokie. Let's have a look. Oh, it looks like nobody's interested in talking live tonight. So I will carry on with the text comments. But just a reminder, if you do want to have a chat, you can join the Discord and go into the room that's called live stream calling, and you can press a button and we can talk live on stream. Just a quick plug for my current drink of choice, ginger beer. I'm currently addicted to ginger beer. It's awesome. So you'll have to excuse me, I'm just going to glug that down. Oh, okay, someone just popped up, they want to chat. So Laketa. So hopefully you should have an invitation to speak. So,
hi.
Hello.
Just a brief question, really.
Sure.
Kind of relates to what we were talking about before with like ego inflation and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is a good way to stay ethically grounded when we do? Because like I've noticed a lot of people can kind of float away. Mm-hmm. They can get kind of disconnected. So like you've had a few really good videos about integration, but I was curious specifically about what you thought about ethics, like staying ethical even if our perspective really changes.
Yeah, so I mean, ethics is a tricky one because obviously we've all got our own ethics, and I think this kind of comes back to the question from earlier, where like people were saying like if world leaders or politicians did psychedelics, or should they do psychedelics before they go into office? Now these people have all got entirely different ethics, so there's no guarantee, even when you're on say retreat or with your friends, that you all share the same kind of ethics. So I don't necessarily think ethics is a good sort of compass with which to sort of ground yourself. What I think, or at least the compass that I use to ground myself, is my human experience. So what I kind of ask myself is like, when I'm taking these things and when I'm having these experiences and with the kind of what gets revealed to me in these experiences, or when I get some message where I think, okay, this is something I need to implement, I always kind of ask myself, how will this benefit my human experience, the experience that I'm having right now? Because that's really the only thing I can ground myself in. And if the kind of if like the answer is, let's say that it's something relating to I'll just pull some ideas out of nowhere, something like UFOs or conspiracy theories or even politics or something like that. These are things that people get very passionate about, very excited about, but they can also spend a whole load of energy down those kind of roads and not getting any benefit from them at all. So I think that, particularly like conspiracy theories, something like, say, like flat Earth or something like that, that you can be, you can have something in a experience which convinces you of something like flat Earth or UFOs, and you put all this energy into it. But then what I would say is, has that energy returned anything of value to your life? Like the thing that you're getting excited about, the thing that you're that you feel is so important, the thing that you feel has been revealed to you, does it actually bring any value to your human experience? And I would and this kind of ties into a lot of the ego inflation stuff, where people are declaring themselves to be enlightened, or declaring themselves to be, have a direct telephone to God, or stuff like this. If those people are coming back and are acting like arseholes, or are not manifesting anything positive, then the kind of question is, what was the point of the experience? Like, what was the value in that experience? So that's...
Oh, I get what you're saying. It's kind of like a put up or shut up moment for enlightenment. Like you're saying, like, if you are so enlightened, well, prove it. Let's see your direct connection.
Yeah, basically live it. Like the people, really, really good people, really moral people who I look up to, do not go around blowing smoke up their own ass saying, oh, I'm so enlightened, I'm so awake. Hey, and also just then using that to club other people over the head, like, hey, no, you're not awakened, you're not enlightened, you need to be more like me. Those people are assholes, in my opinion. This is not what a well-grounded sort of spiritual person does not need to go around bigging themselves up about how fucking awesome they are. Their actions speak for themselves. So I think that's how I try not to go around like that. Going like, I hope I don't. Anyway, I hope I don't go around saying, like, trying to go, oh, I'm so awesome because I did so many drugs, so I'm so awesome, and I've just done all this DMT, and I'm so I've had experiences you'll never have, and all this kind of stuff. It's like, you wanker, just it doesn't add anything to anyone, to the community. It just seems very deceptive. Just to sort of use these things as a kind of a high horse with which to sort of talk down to people. So that's what I ground myself in. I ground myself in my humanity. I ground myself in my connections to others. Connections to others, even with people that I disagree with. So, I'm always open to sort of like talking to anyone. Even people, like I say, I think I might have a fundamental disagreement with, because I think that it's better to have sort of conversations with people and see if you can find the sort of the middle ground. Maybe you won't, but it's better to try. But I also, I ground myself in my relationship with myself, with my family, with my friends. And if any of these things are suffering, then I know that, well, something's gone wrong there. So if I find myself that all I want to do is sit in a dark room and talk, conspiracy bullshit on the internet, or that if I find myself that I just want to sort of, say, play video games for like 10 hours a day, or if I find myself just constantly just sort of, feeling alone because I'm just so awakened because I'm the most enlightened person who is, something's gone wrong, in my opinion. And
yeah, like it's really funny how it seems like all these really enlightened people are surrounded by so much chaos and discord and just meanness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, meanness is exactly it. And a lot of it, from what I've seen, is of their own making. Because that meanness, if you're going around telling everyone that you're the sort of the most enlightened, awakened person, and you're using that to create a separation between you and them, like, look, I'm here, you're here, you don't get me because I'm just so awakened. Like, it's like then that's, to me, it's missed the point. It's missed the point entirely. And for all these, for a lot of the people will come around and say stuff like, oh, you just don't understand, you've not achieved God consciousness, and I kind of, well, maybe I have, but maybe I'm just not a wanker. So
it's about pragmatism, it sounds like, for you, making sure that like whatever we bring back from the other world, or whatever it is, that other space, whatever we bring back with us is something that can actually benefit other people and not just help us disappear up our own guru holes.
I love that, guru holes. Yeah. Well, the way I see it is that I think one thing that we can all hopefully agree on is that at the present moment, we are inhabiting a human form. Whatever your belief system, whether you believe in reincarnation or heaven or life after death or complete obliteration, like nothing's going to happen. Right now, I think most of us would agree we are in a human form. And because of that, we are interacting with other human beings. This time is finite. It's got a shelf life. It's got a beginning and an end. So my kind of thing is, I want to make this experience, the one that I know for fact that I'm having, I want to make it the best possible experience that I can. And I want to make sure that, with the people who are, I interact with, I want to make sure that I'm having some kind of positive impact on their experience as well. I want them to have the best experience. Particularly the people I love, I want them to have the best experience possible. I don't want to sort of, I don't want to like die and my only legacy is that I've just been a wanker. I want there to be some kind of positive result from me being here. Now, when I sort of want,
thank you.
Once we move on, once this life is over, then if all these things are true, that we are sort of God, or we are this collective consciousness, or there is reincarnation, it's going to happen anyway. Okay, so I don't need to spend time now, going on about how awesome I am, because all that stuff's going to happen. If reincarnation is true, it's going to reincarnate. If God consciousness is true, I'm going to rejoin the God consciousness. I don't need to sit there being a tosser with people. No, what I need to do now is be a human being. This is what I am right now. This is, whether I chose to be this or I was chosen to be this, this is what I am now, and I'm going to make the best of it I can as a human being, because this is what I know that I am right now. And I think people who lose sight of that, well, I mean, I've talked about them quite a bit on the channel, and I think you can see, these are people who normally seem very disconnected, very lonely, people delusional, and I think they're ruining the human experience. And I think, you can take this as like an example. Just say that like reincarnation was true, and like say you reincarnated as a cat or a butterfly or a dolphin or whatever you want. If you reincarnate as a cat, and then I would say that your job is then to have the best cat experience that you can. If you were reincarnated as a cat and you were sort of thinking, just spending your cat life thinking, oh no, next time I'll reincarnate as a human, humans are so much higher conscious, I'll do that. Okay, you've wasted your cat life. Well done, you fucked up being a cat. So I'm not going to fuck up being a human being. I'm going to absolutely embody being a human being, and whatever happens next will happen next. Does that kind of answer your question? I realise I rambled a little bit there. Or have we lost you? I don't know. I think we lost you. But anyway, it was a great question anyway, so thank you very much. Let's go. And we've got somebody else who's looking to talk. And it's my old mate, Jimmy from Philly. Jimmy, you should have an invite. Have you got it, Jimmy? No? You're not there? Okay, I will go back to it. Hopefully we'll have Jimmy back later on because Jimmy's quite a character. Okay. Let's do some of the comment from the comments feed. From Yusuf, do you have any recommendations where to get trip reports about DMT entity encounters? I think the best resource around all kind of I don't know if I go as first called trip reports, but basically if you want the details on psychedelic effects and psychedelic experiences, the best resource I found is what's called the Subjective Effects Index, and it's run by someone who I've actually had here on the channel, a person called Josie Kins. Josie is just, God, how would you describe Josie? This is someone who is just intensely into documenting psychedelic effects and does so with just an amazing perspective that she can really step back and analyze its effects, and she's compiled this compendium, this like directory of subjective effects complete with visualizations, just superb written very like scientifically, but not too scientifically in that it's unreadable. It's just amazing. It's a really amazing piece of work. So yeah, check out the Subjective Effects Index, and also just go on my channel and search for the conversation that I had with Josie Kins. Just a fascinating individual. I believe she's recently got a job actually working for a psychedelic research institute. So I'm expecting some really great work out of Josie. And she also runs the Replications subreddit. Now, this is also one worth checking out for everyone, because there is on Reddit, there is this subreddit called Replications, whereby all these visual artists, they sort of people who make these really trippy things like you see in the background here, these really trippy psychedelic arts. They put them all there. We're just completely recreating various different effects from various different substances. So go and check out the Replication subreddit. It's pretty amazing, and it's where I look to get a lot of my artwork that I use on my channel in things like my trip reports. I'll see Jimmy from Philly's back, so I'll come to you in a second, Jimmy. I'll just do one more question from the comments. From Nimenialtru. got some interesting names tonight. Hi there. At the end of March, I will start my first Future Facilitator retreat in Spain. I wanted to ask you, what would be the best questions to address? I know the intensity will be way higher. Okay, this is an interesting question, and I'm gonna be honest here, and it might not be the answer that you want. I don't put a huge amount of stock in these kind of courses that are run, these kind of like facilitator courses. I'm not saying that they're all bad. I'm hoping that the one that you've got is a good one. I'm really hoping that it's not one that you've taken with Inner Mastery, because Inner Mastery are a terrible organization. So please don't hope you've not spent money to go with Inner Mastery. Okay, but let me come back to the reason why I don't think these courses are a good idea. Basically, I think that if you are wanting to do something like be a facilitator, then the best way to do this is to volunteer and to be at a place which is serving sort of medicine. So at a retreat center, or with another group that's doing it, even if you're just doing it sort of with your sort of friends or whatever in a private way. Pretty much every retreat center takes on volunteers where you can sit there. Residential volunteers where you can sit there, be part of the center, see how it works, sort of sit with the medicine, serve the medicine. You can apprentice under sort of shamans doing stuff like this. Now, and that will cost you zero, nothing, and you will come out of that infinitely more experienced than I think you will get on any kind of paid course. I think I've seen quite a lot of these kind of courses whereby people are saying, I will teach you to be a facilitator. And I would doubt that the people who are running these courses are any more qualified than I am. Now, I could teach you to become a facilitator. And, you know, I would certainly say that probably a lot of the stuff I put in the videos on this channel are pretty much what you will get on any one of these courses. And I think the idea of charging money for that, and the idea that people are going to have something in there that they think they're going to come away qualified, because these qualifications mean nothing. Yeah? If you come out of one of these courses and you've got some certificate saying, I am now a qualified facilitator, it literally means nothing. Okay? Whereas if you come away saying, yeah, I spent 6 months in the jungle apprenticing under a shaman, I spent 6 months in the jungle, facilitating that means something. That's real experience. Okay? So, yeah, I personally am not a fan of these. I hope that you get what you want from this course. Like I say, I'm very skeptical about them, but I wish you well, and I please God, I hope you did not sign up for anything with the organization called Inner Mastery. They are absolute cowboys. Okay, so now I'm going to go to Jimmy from Philly. So Jimmy, you should have the ability to come up.
There it is. Are you there?
I'm here, Jimmy. How you doing?
All right. I get confused with this Discord shit. I couldn't see the invite.
Well, you got here in the end, Jimmy. That's all that matters. How you doing anyway, mate?
Right. What's that?
How you doing?
I'm doing better. I was doing bad for a little while. I was going through some negative bullshit, but it seems to be better. You know what happened to me? I usually trip and go down to this park. Mm-hmm. Right? There's water down there. There's benches, and something tells me the one day to start hiking. You know, there's trails and all down there, and I went hiking, and something happened to me. I got more confident. I don't smoke as much. I don't drink as much. It was really strange. It was like very spiritual.
I'm going to say this sounds good.
I don't understand what happened. Yeah, I really don't.
Well, this sounds like a positive thing, Jimmy. I mean, this is when you were doing LSD quite a lot before, wasn't it? Was this the same? You were hiking on LSD?
Yeah. But I don't think the LSD had much to do with it. I think I was going up all the tough trails. I was blazing my own trails. You know, I wasn't taking the easy trails. I was climbing over rocks and trees, and I just I became super confident. I almost quit smoking, but I didn't. But the tolerance levels on alcohol and tobacco went like 80% down. I read on the internet it's a thing. You can like spiritual.
It is, man.
Stuff hiking.
Yeah. No, I've been there myself. Where I after one of my experiences with DMT, there was a time when I was like sort of drinking probably most nights, not drinking into oblivion, not drinking to get drunk, but I was constantly just having like get home from work, have a few cans of beer or something like that. And then after one of my sort of DMT experiences, then yeah, I just stopped. Like overnight, it just stopped. I was like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. And it wasn't like I had to stop myself. The desire to do it just went away. So it sounds like something similar. So it does sound very much like a spiritual experience, which I'm going to say to you, I'm excuse me, I don't know if you remember our very first conversation. We were sort of talking a little bit there around sort of like spiritual experiences, and you were quite dismissive of them now. So it's interesting to hear that you've had one.
No, I'm not dismissive of them. I just don't believe in a God. I believe in spiritual experiences. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about it. But I just don't believe that there's some guy in the sky controlling everything. Let's put it that way.
I'm with you there, Jimmy. I don't think the idea of like Christian God, I don't think is a. Right. Although you do get a lot of people in psychedelic circles talking about God, and it's really what they're saying is more of it's a substitute for like the universe or for creation, or for like just the
if you stand outside a church and query 1,000 people about what God is, you're going to get 1,000 different answers.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're also going to get a lot of people who say they believe in God but don't actually act as if they do, which is one of the craziest things about sort of mainstream religions. All these people who are supposedly very moral and virtuous but just act in completely arsehole ways. But God, when was this experience, Jimmy? Was this something that was a while ago, or?
Let's say that. Oh, this was a couple months ago, and I've been hiking ever since. I try to hike as much as possible.
I mean, that's really awesome, man. I'm really, really happy for you. It sounds like
I really enjoy it. As soon as I get down there, right? See, it's a park. It's called Wissahickon Park. And there's like a creek, and a bunch of people go down there. And as soon as I get down there, I just I noticed that what I do is I take a deep breath as soon as I get down there, and it's like so relaxing. And I'm very high energy, so you know
we notice, man.
You know.
I mean, I'm saying one of my sort of big outdoor things where I sort of have very spiritual experiences is camping. I absolutely love camping. I like sort of hiking somewhere and then camping overnight and just sort of watch the sun go down. I love it. So
I was looking into buying a one-man tent and shit like that.
Do it, man. Do it.
I think I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, mate. Because then you can just sort of camp. You know, you can spend all day hiking somewhere, put your tent up, make yourself, bring some little bits of food with you, and just watching the sort of like the sun go down and the stars.
You know what I do? I do like 3 hits, right? And then I go down there, and then I bring a couple beers, maybe a little wine, and I take videos of the art under the bridges, the graffiti. You know what graffiti is, right?
Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah, graffiti all over the world.
They got all this like very artistic stuff under these bridges, and there's like 3 or 4 bridges you pass under when you hike that trail. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I put it all on my channel.
Excellent.
But how about the David Pakman thing? Did you like that?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean,
drug guy.
Some drug. Yeah, let me just give a bit of background to people who are watching. So, Jimmy's got a bit of a sort of an ongoing, I don't know, like a bit of a nemesis relationship with the YouTuber David Pakman. For those of you who don't know, David Pakman's quite a fairly big channel who does like political commentary, and Jimmy's
far left.
Yeah, he's very far. I don't even know if he's far left. I think he's just argumentative because his views are incredibly inconsistent, I think.
Right.
So, but yeah, Jimmy's called into David Pakman's show a few times and sort of had it out with him on the air, and I really enjoyed the conversations I had with him. But I honestly had no idea who Pakman was until the first time I spoke to you, Jimmy.
Right.
And then I've discovered that Pakman has been talking about me. So he took a clip of one of mine and Jimmy's conversations on this show, and sort of did this extremely kind of lame voiceover to it, where it was basically just like,
it's negative.
Yeah, it wasn't just negative. It was kind of shitly negative, and that was just like, oh, look at these guys talking about drugs.
He referred to you as some drug guy.
He's Jimmy from Philly talking to some drug guy.
Some drug guy.
But I thought it was kind of cute that he felt like he had to sort of mention that, and I think he thought there was going to be something more juicy in there, something he could sort of get his little teeth into.
If he waited till the LSD police came on, that would have been juicy, but he cut it short.
Yeah, he definitely missed the best bit with the ladies from the future. But I will say, so I mean, since I became aware of Pakman, I watched a few of his things, and I think there was one which you highlighted, Jimmy, where it was the one where it was him talking to Destiny, and Destiny just completely exposed that guy as like how self-contradictory and sort of how inconsistent his beliefs were. And I thought, and at that point, after seeing that Destiny debate, I was like, okay, this guy is just clearly, I mean, he's coming from a place which he calls being left. I think of myself as someone who's like left-leaning, but I just think this is just a guy who's just kind of being I don't know. I don't even know what you'd call him. He's just one of these people who likes arguing, I think, and doesn't even particularly know what they believe in.
Well, his whole audience is like 15 to 30 years old, I think. So there's that.
but he's got me. He's quite a. I'm surprised he's got such a big audience because I just thought he was incredibly inconsistent. And if anybody wants to know what we're talking, I would sort of direct you towards if you just search for David Pakman versus Destiny.
He kind of likes me. If you Google my name and then David Pakman, there's like 20 videos of me and him. So he kind of likes me because I give it to him. You know what I mean? Like I give him both barrels every time I talk to him.
I think
that Dr. K thing, that was awesome. The Dr. K thing.
The Dr. K thing is actually really good, and it's really good because Pac-Man shuts the fuck up all the way through it and just lets you have a conversation with Dr. K.
Did you see me rock that whippet? He was pissing me off. He was calling me homophobic, transphobic, all this shit. And I was starting to get pissed off, so I said, let me rock this whippet and relax.
But I think the thing with Pac-Man and you is that I think he thinks you're an easy target, Jimmy. I think he thinks that you're somebody he can point at and say, look at this guy, isn't he awful? And I don't I don't get that same impression from you at all, Jimmy. I think, you know, like I've said in previous times, I think you've got your own story, and I don't
think he actually believes a lot of what he's saying. I mean, like you said, it doesn't make any sense what he's saying. He's not consistent.
No, and so it becomes
money.
Yeah, it's just easy for him then to be able to say, look at this guy, look at this Jimmy from Philly. Let's just point at him and sort of look how reprehensible he is. Look at him. Look, isn't he awful?
Right.
Hey guys, and I think that's why he reposts your stuff. But that's just lazy, in my opinion. I think that's just really sort of shitty.
Right. In other words, I support Trump, so I'm evil, and I'm all the things, the stereotypical things that you hear about Trump supporters, you know, which is very far from the truth.
Well, exactly, and that's the laziness. It's lazy to identify one thing about a person and then say so that everything about them, everything about them must be awful. So this guy likes a different sort of, you know, political thing than I do. So therefore, he's awful. Look at him, isn't he awful? Ha 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 ha. And it's like, fuck off.
That is lazy.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I mean, I'm stoked to hear that you've had a really good experience. I hope maybe Patman's watching this. He'll hear about your sort of spiritual transformation. Maybe you might get a clip all about him taking the piss out of this, Jimmy.
Well, I'm going to send him this one too and see what he does.
Well, yeah, well, maybe I can look forward to having another clip of myself put up there. But if he does, mate, please do send it to me.
He'll probably be like, the drug guy doesn't like me.
The drug guy's kind of started beefing me. But hey, David, I'll always talk to you, mate. If you want to have a conversation, I will talk to anybody. I'd talk to David Patman, and maybe I can make some recommendations on how to get that stick out of your ass, mate.
I'm going to start tripping. Maybe he'll see the light.
Maybe, mate, maybe. But I don't know. I think he's pretty entrenched in his own beliefs.
So I happened to be online when I heard that you were in Philly, and you were like, "Oh, I would have set something up with Jimmy from Philly," and I was like, "Where are you?"
Yeah, mate. I was so gutted that I didn't get much. If I'd known that I was going to be going through Philly, then I would have set it up so I could have done an overnight there and we could have met up. But yeah, what happened was I was supposed to be flying direct to Charlotte in North Carolina, and then that flight got changed at the last minute. So I ended up in Philly, and I was in Philly for like 8 hours. But yeah, it was like I was just stuck in the airport. I couldn't really leave the airport. Right. So yeah, it was just one of those things, mate. But yeah, if I'm ever passing through and there's ever any time there, we'll have to hook up, mate.
Yeah, I can get right to the airport in about 40 minutes from here on the train.
But and the other thing, when I was there, it was like there's some mad snowstorm going on. So yeah, I got there and the place is like completely iced over, and everyone thought they were going to be stranded there in the airport. We all thought we were going to be like completely fucked. So it was a very hectic set of flights. But luckily, I managed to sort of move on, and I was in Charlotte. But I'd been awake for about like 20 hours at that point when I was messaging you. I was like, oh my god, I was so tired.
Yeah, I hear you. I kept meaning to catch your call-ins, and I keep missing them like an idiot. And even now, today, I'm sitting here drinking a beer at the deli. I just did some landscape. I just did some really tough work. I'm sitting here drinking a beer, and I look at my phone. I'm like, oh shit, that's the call-in.
Well, I'll drop you a message next time, so you give you a reminder.
If you can, to remind me, because like I always see when you're going to do it, but then I forget, or I'm working, or I'm
I know, man. I know it's hectic trying to keep up, especially with the time difference as well. Because I appreciate, for me, this is night time, but I guess
2 weeks. You do this every 2 weeks, right?
I try to, yeah, unless something crops up, yeah. So
now, where are you at? You're in Europe, right?
Yeah, man, I'm in Switzerland. That's where I live. I'm originally from the UK, but I live in Switzerland at the moment. So
right.
I think probably 6 hours time difference between you and me.
Yeah, CET time. I had to look that up. It was around 2:30 today, our time.
Yeah.
But I forgot. But then I looked on my phone. I'm like, oh shit, there he is.
Well, mate, it's good. It's good to hear from you again, isn't it, mate?
It's good talking to you. I enjoy talking to you.
Awesome. Well, you take care, Jim, mate. Good luck with your spiritual, and yeah, buy that tent, mate. Buy that tent.
Right.
We'll talk about camping next time.
All right. Have a good one.
You too, Jim. Bye.
All right.
Okay, so I'll just head back over to. I've seen quite a few comments have come in through the text. So, where was I up to? From Oblix, completely unrelated to Psych's question. Good, that's the purpose here. Have you ever played Heroes of Might and Magic? Playing it right now while listening to the stream and eating jellies, also known as in my head plays. Heroes of Might and Magic. I'm not sure. Is that the card game, or what am I thinking of? There was a card game that I used to. No, that was Magic the Gathering, the card game, wasn't it? So no, I don't think I ever played Heroes of Might and Magic. I will tell you right now, at the moment, I'm playing Elden Ring on the PlayStation 5. If anybody wants to play on PlayStation with me, just post your PSN IDs in the chat, and I'll add you later on when I'm on thing. But yeah, I have put some serious time into Elden Ring. It's such a good game. Like, I think one of my things, whether it's like video games or movies or books, I love narrative. I love like narrative and lore and storytelling. It's one of the things I love about psychedelics, because when you take psychedelics, you just get pulled into this like amazing narrative journey, and it's all coming from like sort of within your own sort of mind, and it's kind of like tailor-made for you. And so yeah, when I see a really good piece of creative fantasy, like I say, whether it's a movie or whether it's a book or whether it's a video game, then yeah, I can get really sucked in. And I would say Elden Ring at the moment, it has been such an amazing story unfolding this game. I'm absolutely loving it. But no, I've not played Heroes of Might and Magic. From Paul Dalton, I would love to chat, but the missus is watching the TV. In your last video, I took DMT every day for a month. Will there be a continuation of this series? So there will be. I was actually going to do it for this week. I was going to put out a video this weekend, but as I was sort of scripting this video, I realised that I wanted to sort of do some stuff in there that would be quite elaborate, because the continuation of that series is going to be that I'm going to talk about the final trip that I had within that sort of 30. It was actually slightly more than 30 days. It was like 31, 32 days or something like that. But yeah, the very last one was when I did DMT in conjunction with an MAOI. And this is something I've been trying to do all last year. I tried it numerous times. It just didn't work at all. Like the MAOI didn't work for whatever reason. So anyway, I got to the end of this 30-day plus experience, and I thought, right, the way to close the book here is to do this MAOI. And I got hold of some a different kind of MAOI. It's called harmine, extracted harmine HCl. So it's a kind of a pure MAOI product instead of taking something like Syrian rue seeds. And yeah, it absolutely worked. And the next video I do is going to be talking about that experience. And I'm going to try and do some of the stuff that I do, some of the kind of the effects stuff, the kind of where I kind of make a bit of a skit around it, because a lot of the stuff that I've been talking around in my previous videos all came from this experience. So if just to put it into time frame, this DMT plus an MAOI experience happened at the end of last year. So this was just before Christmas last year, and so pretty much all the videos I've put out since then, the things with like the sort of the DMT, the two people talking to each other, and a lot of the stuff I talked around, a lot of the kind of the insights that I talked around in that last video, really a lot of it all comes from this particular what can I call it, this particular session. So I want to sort of make sure that I do it justice when I talk about it. So that's why I decided I wasn't going to publish it today. I was going to put a bit more work into it to make it more in line with what was in mind. So yes, Paul, that series will be continuing. It will be continuing in that the next video will be kind of explaining out what happened in that DMT MAOI experience. And I'll just say, yeah, it was a very, very deep experience. It was deep in ways that surprised me. And I don't want to give too much away without going into it. Don't worry, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to come out with any kind of like I developed superpowers or anything silly like that. But yeah, it was a very I can't say, I don't want to say too much about it without sort of ruining it. But it was a really good experience, and I'm looking forward to sort of telling that story. Let me have a look. There's another question. Oh, I can see Damras has got their hand up, so I'll bring Damras up to chat. You should have an invitation now, Damras.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
Hi there. Hey, Rob. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise, mate. How are you doing?
Big fan. Hi, my name is Orb. I think I vaguely messaged you on Instagram when I saw your last video, that conversation between the two people video.
Oh, right, yep.
Amazing video, by the way. I just want to say that.
Cheers, mate.
It's definitely one of the best videos on the whole thing I've seen.
Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
For that next video that you just talked about, the MAOI thing, which I've also been flirting with the idea of taking that myself. I've been doing a bit of experimenting with DMT recently, over the past month, January and February, and I've been thinking about doing the MAOI. How long would you say that it extended it as opposed to a regular just vape DMT experience? Yeah,
I would say you probably want to put aside for the main effects. I wasn't actually properly timing it. I would say it was anywhere between sort of like half an hour to 45 minutes for the kind of main effects. But the bit where I was kind of just alluding to previously, there was some additional effects which I would kind of recognize as coming from the MAOI side of things rather than the DMT side of things. And that was kind of unexpected. My expectation was that the MAOI would just be some sort of like background thing, that it wouldn't really contribute much to the experience other than extending it out. And what I kind of realized as I was going through it was, the MAOI has its own effect, and it was a lot stronger than what I thought it would be. And it really reminded me of my ayahuasca experiences, because when you do ayahuasca, obviously you're drinking.
I suppose it would make sense. That's why these shamans use these specific plants so particularly, because they're fully aware of what exact components they add to the experience, which is profound.
It's a really good combination, and I've heard people refer to that MAOI plus vaped DMT. I've heard them refer to it as vaporhuasca.
Yeah, vaporhuasca.
Which I don't think is. I think it's actually a fairly apt name for it. I wouldn't say it's exactly the same as the ayahuasca experience, but it certainly changes the characteristic of the DMT experience fairly significantly, I would say. And so and obviously just because of the duration of it, you get this much. It's you have to really sort of put a night aside to it. It's not this kind of like 10-15 minute trip anymore. I would say just really put the night aside for it, because even when you come round from the initial DMT sort of trip, it stays with you in a sort of a different way. It's not quite as fleeting, I wouldn't say, as what is sort of a normal. I assume
that's why you did it, to sort of cap off your 30-day sort of adventure with it.
Yeah, exactly. It was that, and it was. I thought, since I was having all these experiences so close together, and I was having sort of like, small experiences, these like sub-breakthrough experiences, or having breakthrough experiences. So I thought, okay, it just in my mind anyway, it made sense to sort of make this complete DMT sort of encounter. And so it just seemed kind of obvious to me that one part of that was to do it with this MAOI, to have this kind of more immersive way into it. And so I did that, and I've not done DMT since that, because it was such a mind blower that I was like, okay, that was that. I think after 30 days of DMT plus that experience, I think I'm done for a while. I think I'm going to chill out for a bit now.
Yeah, my last experience, I think, was about a month ago, and it was my first ever hyper slap experience that I could categorize it as. I knew as soon as it began happening that something along the lines of was what was happening. So I'm not scared to go back, but since then I've just been sort of chilling back. It was sort of the same thing where I had about, I think, 6 or 7 consistent experiences. They were all amazing. And then the 7th one was almost like okay, step back and integrate.
Yeah. It tells you. I've had similar experiences where it tells you when you're done. I think that's one of the. Yeah.
And I did listen to you in a video recently, and you mentioned that you do it in chapters or phases. And I noticed I do the same thing where I'll find it, get my hands on it, experiment with it in a set of experiences or sessions, and then I take a break, integrate for as long as a year.
Yeah.
Maybe more, however.
Yeah, same. I mean, I've gone like even multiple years between them, and it's just. I think it's the same with anything. You just have times with things where there's times when certain things are calling to you. There's times when you want to explore certain things, but then there's times it's like, okay, like that's done for the moment. It doesn't mean like you're turning your back on it forever, maybe it'll pop up again, and maybe it won't. And I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoy sort of moving between these different experiences, because I think you can get sort of too entrenched in just doing one thing, and it's like that becomes like the only thing. But a lot of these, there's different things to be learned and different aspects to be explored in all these different things. I've been taking it pretty easy since this year. Actually, I've only had like one experience, and that was with 2CB, which I would not say I think is particularly great. It just seems quite a boring substance to me. But I tried it. I've tried it before, and people say no, you need to take more of it. So I did a bit more of it, and I won't say I'm a huge fan of 2CB. But other than that, I've been.
You're a fan of LSD over any of the effects of 2CB. I've never tried it myself. I've only really done LSD of any of the synthetic psychedelics.
I wouldn't even put them in the same category. I think I would say 2CB to me is closer to. It's kind of like a. I'm going to piss off all the 2CB fans now. But to me, it's a kind of it's like a shit version of MDMA.
To be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of. I think I described it at the time. I was on Discord. And I was saying like, this feels like drugs for old people. This feels like drugs for people who don't want anything exciting to happen. It's just like it's a little bit warm. It's a little bit fuzzy, but it's just like not interesting.
A little bit of what you get at the beginning stages of LSD.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of a psychedelic, I would take LSD over 2CB any day. I mean, I don't think I'll do 2CB again. It just wasn't interesting to me at all.
Also, one thing I wanted to ask about before I hop off here, what was the strangest part for you about either that MAOI experience or all of your DMT experiences combined? Because in that video there were so many specific things as far as the popping of the entity, how they talked, which I directly recognized, and the tongue thing, which I also directly recognized, and the one specific part I really enjoyed was the supply of awesome, the symbols in the hand, which I directly recognized, and all of that has been. I'm writing science fiction.
Oh, cool!
Right now, short stories and novels based on the sort of mystery that we're dealing with here, and those parts have been particularly strange to me. What would you say is the strangest, like what the biggest what the fuck component of the
oh my god! I mean, you're almost asking the impossible question here, because to me it's all completely like what the fuck.
It's all.
But let me try and have a. For me, I think the biggest. I guess like kind of completely mind-blowing, like astonishing, jaw on the floor, kind of like I cannot believe I'm experiencing this. And I would say it probably came from one of my ayahuasca trips, and it was I talked about it. I did a video of me in the jungle talking about it, and it was this. It was one where I was basically within some kind of collection of like godlike super beings, whereby everything that exists in the universe was being imagined into existence by like just the wave of a hand. So like one of these beings would just kind of wave their hand, and like the most pure form of art, of like sculpture, would just manifest instantly, and then that sculpture in itself would sort of transform and start become sentient and start singing, and would invent ballet, like hyperdimensional ballet, which every ballet move was inventing quantum mechanics out of it, and it was all just like happening with the wave of a hand, and like just pure joy.
They can make it with their minds or something.
It's like making it with their minds, but you don't even have to think about it. It's not like
it's instantaneous.
Yeah. So it's just anything that happens in imagination instantly manifests, and that in itself then becomes its own pocket universe, and just and starts creating things itself. And I just remember I was watching this like, this is amazing. This is just it's just boundless creation. And I remember at one point in it, I kind of visualized a baby in the womb, like a baby like completely unaware of what's going on outside of its mother's womb, but basically just having a dream and just dreaming of anything that is possible. Now, you know, babies are not like you can imagine. I can't imagine a more innocent creature, completely not in control of their own thought processes or feelings, like if any of us even are, but just like this boundless dream of what life might be like outside of this journey it's about to take outside its mother's womb, and it's just happening, and you know, it's like it's just unfolding in real time, and that was completely astonishing and humbling to me. It was, and I'd say I think that's probably as weird as it gets, but it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
It's incredible how it unfolds and how this story just plays out, and there's all these narratives that I've had some similar experiences when entities I mean, in the moment I understand them as entities, but it's so captivating. I'm not particularly worried about who or what they are, but they can produce these incredible things out of thin air. I remember one time an entity waving its hand, and in the cup of its hands it was creating jungle gyms that became houses that became cities that became increasingly vast and large and complex. And it's so much to take.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of what I was trying to capture in that video. The kind of the bit where the entities go like, "Oh yeah, it's because of this," and all these kind of mathematical formulas start here.
Exactly how they explain it. And on the video so good is because it's really that simple. Where it's because you're awesome, we're awesome. This is awesome.
And it's explained in such a language which like it's just so simple when you're there. It's just like it's just and I also get a lot of this kind of stuff of like entities like just going a lot of like pointing, and they're like, it's like this, it's like this, it's like this, and so that's what I was trying to when I was trying to recreate these things of like just this kind of
like we're children to them.
Exactly.
Very direct and just as simple as they can be.
It's like hyperdimensional kindergarten. I think of it.
Exactly. So that's what it feels like. They do the tongue thing, the popping, and the awesome. I think awesome is an excellent word for whatever it is that they're talking about during the experience.
Well, I mean,
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, awesome is a word that gets like overused, but it does.
Exactly.
It does. That is what I feel is being said in these places. I get a lot of talk of like super dimensional, hyperdimensional sort of awesomeness.
Pure awe. Trans-dimensional awe.
Exactly. Yeah, it's pure. It's just pure awesomeness. I mean, that's the only kind of words there are for it. But yeah, I tried to sort of cram as much of what I could remember of it into that video, and I was.
You did a great job. I just got to thank you again.
Oh, awesome, man! I'm glad you're happy with it. And
the DMT heads who are concerning themselves with this stuff every day in their art and in their whatever they're making or working with in daily life. Definitely a great resource to have people who are
awesome, man.
Who do this stuff and want to talk about it.
Yeah, man, and also it's just so much fun to spend a bit of time to creatively think, like, how can I, like, you have one of these experiences like, what am I going to do with this? How can I possibly describe this into
to something I can explain to someone or make someone look at, or so that's the challenge and the task or whatever.
Speaking of entities, I see Rachel's just popped in on the cast, and she just appeared there. Rachel.
Yes.
Rachel, big fan.
Someone just said they're a big fan. Do you want to come and say hello?
Sure.
Come and sit on my knee. See if she. There we go. So, do you want to say hello? What have you been up to?
I've been doing some volunteer work in the community.
Yeah, so that's also when I'm doing these live streams, one of the reasons I do it is because Rachel's out volunteering, so I'm all on my own. So she's out being a good citizen, aren't you?
I am.
Anyway, go on. I'll let you get back to what you're doing.
Bye, love you guys.
We love you.
Can I use the microwave?
No. Right, so the fact that Rachel's appeared is just kind of a cue that I'm going to have to end the stream soon. So I'll just move on and answer some of the other questions. But awesome talking to you, Damnas. You too, mate. All right.
Yeah, great day.
So I'll just very quickly wrap up some of the questions in the comments. Let's see. Right, just give me 5 minutes, love.
Oh, you're gonna get Coke.
Oh, go on. You can get a can of Coke, but then you know, I spent all this money, Rachel, on fancy video effects, right? Yeah, we're making it look like I'm in some sort of hyperspace, and then some little woman with pigtails that's appearing in the background. She's opening the fridge, and you're completely ruining the effect, right? I'm trying. This is a goddamn professional organisation here, Rachel, right? I'm trying to, Now no one's going to believe I've got this camper van now. Oh my god.
It's a spiritual camper van. I just appeared.
It's a spiritual camper van. Yeah. Okay, right. So we had some technical difficulties with some crazy woman appearing, just ruining my things. Oh god, goddamn. Can't make stuff. You can't get the staff these days. Right. Let's see if anyone has any more questions. So I can see a lot of people talking about salvia and stuff. I've not had still not had any experience with salvia. It's been one that's been cropping up. Everyone keeps asking me, have I done salvia? The answer is no, I've not done it. It just seems very hard to get hold of where I am, but I'm sure at some point I'll get it, and if I do, I'll try it. And I was talking to someone the other day who was really bigging up salvia. It's on the list. I'll put it somewhere. Jared is asking about my 2CB experience. If it wasn't interesting, try 2CB at a higher dose. So Jared, just to let you know, mate, I did 2CB. I did 90 milligrams of 2CB, which would be an extremely high dose. I didn't do all that in one go. I think I did like 35. I wasn't impressed. I did another 35. I wasn't impressed. I did like another 35. I wasn't impressed. Dude, I think I've done my time. I've tried 2CB, and it wasn't doing anything. It was working. Rachel was off her fucking tits, right? But yeah, it just, for me, I just wasn't impressed by the experience. So that's fine. I think, as with all substances, not every substance is for every person. So 2CB is not for me. That's fine. I'll move on to other things. But I've definitely given it a good go, mate. Honestly. So we'll talk about salvia. Is there any more? I think that's answered all the questions. So cool. So what I'll do, since Rachel wants to get into that banging pots and pans and making some food and stuff like that, so I'll just wrap things up and say, I can see one last question. Someone who's Ozo Shatranj is in Italy and has no idea how to get hold of DMT. The best way to get hold of DMT, mate, is just to sort of extract it yourself. I realise that when someone says this, when you're trying to get hold of DMT and someone says to you, extract it, you immediately start picturing some sort of science lab. It's very easy to do. Like, trust me, I'm an idiot. It's very easy to do. I can do it. I've done it. It's easy. It takes a little bit of sort of prep work. You just need to buy some stuff that you can buy online. It's not illegal. The stuff that you need to buy is not illegal. And then you just basically, it's like you need to do a little bit of cooking. And it's probably about as difficult as like, I'd say if you can bake a cake, you can probably extract DMT. And it will cost you very little. So I've done a couple of videos on this, but in terms of extraction stuff, the best bet is places like DMT Nexus, and there's lots of videos online on how to extract DMT. So just check it out and just do a bit of Googling on how to extract DMT. It's easier than what you think it is, and you will end up with a lot. So it's and then you'll be completely sorted, and also you'll be self-sufficient, mate. And I think this is an important thing for psychonauts. It's good to be self-sufficient, like to not be dependent on like somebody else for your thing. So if you can grow your own cacti and grow your own mushrooms and sort of extract your own DMT from a bit of tree bark, you are sorted, right? You will not be dependent on anyone else in terms of being able to get hold of these amazing substances. So also, just trust me, look into how to extract DMT. It's not that difficult, mate. Okie dokie. I think I've got around to everyone there. Oh, okay. I see one last question. It's one that often crops up. It's from Juliana. She asks, "Have you done Ibogaine?" And the answer is no. And I probably won't, because I've got epilepsy. I've got a medical condition, which would be it would clash with Ibogaine, because Ibogaine can keep you awake for many, many days. You can stay awake for like 3 days on Ibogaine. That would be a seizure trigger for me. So I'm probably never going to do Ibogaine, unfortunately. But I'm very interested in it. But yeah, I'm probably never going to get around to it. Rachel might. She's interested in it. But yeah, no, I've not done Ibogaine. I probably never will. But I'm very curious about it. It does sound like a very interesting experience. Okay, guys, so I am going to have to wrap this up because Rachel wants to reclaim the kitchen. I see there's Wildman Ninja, who's one of my favourite dudes. He's got his hand up to have a chat, but Ninja, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to get off because Rachel is kicking me off the computer. So, guys, I'm going to say once again, thank you so much to everyone who's took the time to talk to me tonight. Everyone who's took the time to watch any of my videos, everyone who's sort of liked and subscribed, everyone who's supporting me on Patreon, all of you guys who've been part of this journey to get us here to 25k subs. Looking forward to continuing to do more stuff. I hope you find the channel entertaining and informative, and whatever you get from it, as long as it's doing something positive, then I'm sort of happy. And if you guys want to reach out to me, want to talk to me, then the best place to do so is on Discord. But also, you just leave me a comment below. You can email me at adeptuspsychonautica@gmail.com. I always try and respond to as much correspondence as I can. So yeah, just I love sort of being able to sort of connect with the community. So yeah, if you want to talk to me, if you want to schedule a chat, just come on Discord. I'll talk to absolutely anyone. So come and say hello, and we'll chew the fat. And I'll do this again in about 2 weeks. So I will catch you guys then.